Hello and welcome. My name is Shervon, and this is the Restore Tranquility channel. And today I'd like to invite you to think about mindfulness. Mindfulness is a word that has been bantered around probably for the last 20 or so years. And it is part of my daily practice in life. Mindfulness at its simple core is a practice of coming to the now. It's practice of coming into the present moment in your life and allowing whatever is unfolding to simply be without resistance, without trying to hold on or grasp it. It is a practice of acceptance. It's oftentimes a hard practice for us to engage in because either we're moving towards pleasure and wanting to hold on to it or grasp it, or we're resisting pain and difficulty, avoidance. When we're in either of those spaces, we're not fully in the now. We are wanting life, or at least that moment in life, to be different. And so we're not accessing the full range of our experience, the full range of our emotions. I have also found when we're not fully present, that we're also tying or linking stories to whatever is going on in our lives. And when we're engaging in stories in our minds, we are also then not fully present. So most of us have heard, at least, if not used, the phrase, waiting for the other shoe to drop. I've heard that from so many of my clients when they're having a good day, a good week, or a good few weeks. They're like, how is life feeling this good right now? I don't think it's going to last. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Or when things are really crappy and they're piling up one thing after another in a short period of time, it feels like nothing good is going to ever happen again, or we're not going to feel good ever again. So neither of those extremes or neither of those experiences are true. Everything has its season. Every emotion moves through us. They come and they go. The one constant in our lives is change. And with those changes, we get to have experiences. And mindfulness practices allow us to be fully aware and present, and therefore accepting of those experiences in the moment. The only thing we have is now. Many of us are really connected to time as a thing, like time is this linear thing that we keep track of in our day-to-day lives. But time is a construct like many other things that we live with in this life. The only thing we really have is now and the present moment. And when we are in pain, or when we are in conflict, or when we are stressed, it is right then that we must practice mindfulness. Because in that space of the now comes not only acceptance, but oftentimes the solution to whatever it is that we're working on. Or at least a calming of our bodies and minds, including our central nervous system, while we're working on those things. Therefore, doing less damage to our physical bodies. So some of the mindfulness practices that I've engaged in and I've taught to other clients and students is things like meditation. mindfulness meditation is the simplest, in my mind, form of meditation. You come to a seated position, or you might be standing, but most people want to be sitting. Some people will lie down, and you just connect to the sound or the rhythm or the feel of your breath. Your breath goes with you everywhere, and it allows you to connect to the person you are within, and the breath allows you to connect to the higher self and to the greater realms, have access to the greater realms that surround us. And so when you can connect to your breathing, you step away from all of the external drama outside, and you can better listen for your inner voice, your inner guide, to tell you or to show you what your next steps need to be. When you can allow yourself, and I say allow yourself because it is within our power to do this. So when you allow yourself to access your breath and come back to the now, you give yourself a gift. Some of the other mindfulness practices are yoga-based. When you are moving through asana on your mat, it is a moving and breathing practice. And so when you are moving through a yoga flow and you've connected the breath to your movements, you come into the now. This also happens for people who are athletes or who do certain sports in a consistent way or consistently. Runners get this, it's runner's high. It's the moving and breathing that happens. And you're doing it for a few minutes, and then all of a sudden something clicks, and you're no longer connected to the chatter in your mind, or maybe the anxiety that you started with, or that stressful feeling that you started with. So you move in a flow, right? And so think about the times in your life when you were able to connect to that flow. It happens very often with people who are artists or creators. They get into this flow of creating, and again, it turns off the chatter in the mind. You step out of the angst or the stress, and you step into the now. That's when the best creations happen. So those are some of the examples of being able to access mindfulness, access the now. Other people are able to access that space in the psychedelic realm as well. You can also access that space in the spiritual realm if you have certain religious or spiritual practices that bring you back to the now, back to yourself, back to this present moment. We often don't think about the root meanings of words, but ritual or spiritual practices or religious practices, right? Religion, they all go back to the root of getting to know or doing something that reminds you, rather, of who you are, reminds you of who you're meant to be, reminds you of who God is, or who the higher power is, or who your higher self is. That's really all ritual or religious practices or spiritual practices are supposed to be. We've attached a lot of stories to religious practices, but it's supposed to remind us of who we are. And so when we can step into a religious practice that means we're doing it consciously, then we are able to step into the now, step into the present moment. When you do a religious practice mindfully, that is as much a mindfulness-based practice as sitting for meditation. And so I'd invite you to explore in your day-to-day life how you've already begun to access these moments of the now, these moments of mindfulness. And I'd encourage you to do them more. If you haven't found a practice yet that brings you into the now, I'd invite you to explore some, to explore maybe some of the ones I mentioned or some of the ones that you've heard about but not stepped into yet. But mindfulness is, in part, one of the biggest things that we can do for our own mental health, emotional health, and physical health. So I invite you to join us on the path. If you like this video, I encourage you to tap the like button and subscribe to this channel, and I hope to see you again here. Bye-bye.